you are near the tail end of your journey. Congratulations. At this point, you are taking RAP, the main report, and throwing it behind you. And now, you're going to consider how to do the skills and learning statement or the SLS and the PowerPoint presentation. The good news, it's easy. We mean it, it really is easy. So let's dive right in and just take away certain points that might cause you to fail in these two aspects. Follow them and you should pass, alright? Let's go. For the skills and learning statement or the SLS, there are 3 rules that I give my students. First, make sure each question has a word range of 350 to 600, around there. Best to stay near 500, give them equal weightage. Do not be like one of my students. He wrote 200 words for one question and 800 words for another. If you do it, the examiner will say that your weightage is not even, you neglected a certain question, and you might fail. Alright, so watch out for that. Second, whenever you do your mentor meetings, please make notes. 1, it helps you to pick up and remember the points. But 2, for SLS, you have to describe what you learned during the mentor meeting. So if you didn't take notes, trust me, when you get down to writing this, now you may think that you can remember, but when you really get down to writing it, you realize you don't remember much. And you struggle, or worse still, sometimes you imagine you said this or you imagine you said that. We don't want that to happen. So make notes during the mentor meeting. Third, the tone of the SLS should always be reflective and self-critical. Examine yourself. State your flaws. State what you're proud of. State what you think you should work on. Be honest. Be real. Alright? Now let's go into question 1 of the SLS. Question 1 is a struggle for some students. It sounds simple. Reflect on what you have learned from the meetings and the presentation. Students struggle with this. Why? They confuse what you learn with what you do. So this is an example. Notice here, the bad example, my mentor told me to do industry research, so I went to read newspapers and access journals. Bad, very bad. The student is just saying, my mentor told me, so I went to do. What did he learn? Am I sure he learned anything? I'm not sure. Does he know why he has to read journals? Why he should be reading newspapers? I'm not sure. The examiner would not be sure as well. This fails. Look at the good example. The good example, I learned, just be careful, just because you use the word learned doesn't mean that it is correct, okay? You must really show that you learned. So I learned from my mentor that industry research gives a good background for deeper analysis. Here he's telling the examiner, I know why something must be done. And that is a sign of learning. Showing why is a sign of learning. And he says, after trying it out, I could clearly see how my numbers were linked to what was happening in the business environment. Good job. He shows you that he knows and he benefited and he could see the benefit. So he appreciates why something must be done. That is a clear sign of learning. And if you were sharp enough, there is an English error here. Please excuse that. So I could clearly see how my numbers were linked. Alright, we make mistakes sometimes. Please forgive that. Okay, so question 1, show what you learned. Do not just talk about what you did. Question 2, this is the other question that students struggle. But don't worry, I'm not going to say that for every question. Students mainly struggle at 1 and 2. Alright, so this is the last question that a student struggles at. To what extent do you think you have achieved the research objectives? Now, if you start writing that I am the best student in the world, I have achieved the objectives to a wonderful extent, I did this, I did that, the sky and the moon and the stars, you're gonna fail. You are going to fail. Because this question wants you to analyze yourself and show what areas you may be falling short. That is what they are looking out for. Of course, they also want you to say what you did well in. So, rule of thumb, state 2 positive things what you did well in. Alright, say I'm proud that I did this. I worked very hard to understand that. Alright, be proud. I mean, just say 2 things that you did really well. And this is where students forget your weaknesses. State 2 things or 2 ways you could have done better. Now, it could be in the example of, I wish I were more experienced in terms of analysis, because I find myself not able to go beyond the superficial for certain areas. Or I wish I were better at being familiar with a certain industry, like the pharmaceuticals industry. I realize I do not know much about the pharmaceuticals industry. Be honest, tell them 2 ways or 2 things that you are weak in and could have done better. So this is just a rule of thumb. You could go 3. I mean, it's up to you. You could state 3 things. It's up to you. But generally 500 words, 2 positive things, 2 negative things, or 2 weaknesses, and you're done. So that should get you past question 2. Now question 3 is simple. How you demonstrated your interpersonal and communication skills. For this, please just do some research on what communication skills are. There are things like active listening, giving feedback, what kind of questions you ask, open-ended, closed-ended. Do your research on that, and you should be able to explain how you demonstrated your communication skills. 4. Reflect on how this helped your accountancy studies and your current employment role. Now, simple. Just give real-life applications. Talk about how this helped you in your work. What skills picked up can help you in your work. But do not just say it helps me to be a better worker. Say, in what areas of your work are you becoming a better worker? Is it in your presentation? Is it in your analysis? State it. If you are a full-time student, what ACCA papers is this going to help you do better in? State it. Be specific and give real-life examples. That's fine. And you're done with 4. And you reach the PowerPoint presentation. Now, Adrian said certain things. He is right. Alright, but I have just a slight change to what he says. But we are all on the same page.